Just ahead on primary care, we took the show on the road to speak with Dr. Terry Mason, a urologist out of Chicago who believes the health of the black community is strongly related to the way we eat. Later, I head to the kitchen with Chef Celeste Ivey, who helps us get started on the road to healthy eating with a kale-inspired pasta dish that's not only good for you, but good tasting. Stay with us. Primary care starts right now. Hi, we're here with Dr. Terry Mason, the Chief Operating Officer of the Department of Public Health in the City of Chicago. Terry, thanks for joining us.
You're so welcome.
Listen, let's get right to this. You gave a lecture here at the NMA just the other day on erectile dysfunction. Everybody's getting used to the subject. It's come out of the closet, so to speak, and you're looking at it from a different perspective in terms of men's health and not just an organ system. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I think that what we have to do is what the medical profession has done is that we've created a bunch of nails for which we have a hammer. So if we have heart disease nail, we've got a Lipitor hammer, and we've got a cardiovascular surgery hammer, and so on and so forth. We've got this, high blood pressure, we've got a different hammer. What I'm saying is that we don't have different diseases. We have different manifestations of the same disease. And that same disease is inextricably related to the way we eat.
So basically, we need to retrain people, and we've got to start talking about how we retrain our kids in this community, in this society, because it's the way that they eat that's really the beginning of a lot of disease that we face.
Absolutely. We're seeing yellow streaks in the aortas of young children as young as 15 years old. So we know that the disease processes that we call heart disease, and we call stroke, and we call peripheral artery disease are diseases that start much, much earlier. And we've got to get everybody, not just kids, everybody has to change, because we can eradicate, not just medicate and manage, but we can eradicate some of these diseases by changing the way we eat.
So erectile dysfunction is really a cardiovascular disease.
Erectile dysfunction is a disease of the vascular system which manifests itself in the penis. Just like heart disease, or what we call coronary artery disease, is a disease of the circulatory system that manifests itself in the heart. So when we talk about early symptoms, there are no such things. These are late symptoms.
What are the shortcomings, Terry, for medical professionals and what we're doing in counseling and treatment of patients that have this problem?
Well, I don't want to put it all in the medical profession, because the only way that you can extract value, that is of the $2.25 trillion that this country spends on healthcare, the only way you can extract value is to follow the rules that we're given, which means you've got to use the same certain diagnoses and codes. So what I'm saying is that the way we got to do this is pay doctors and incentivize doctors, one, to increase the amount of nutrition, real nutritional education they're getting in school, so that they can, two, be better equipped to give that information, and three, pay for it.
We no longer talk about food groups in elementary schools. We've taken physical ed out of the high schools. What should the focus be for the younger population coming along?
We have really got to focus on getting to eat a way of eating that's more plant-based. We have consumed more than 50 pounds of meat more today than we did in 1950. We're consuming almost the equivalent amount more of sugar today than we did in 1950, and that's per person. So we should not be surprised that we have a diabetes epidemic. We should not be surprised that we have an obesity epidemic. Those things are supposed to happen based on exactly the way we're eating in America.
Our shoe sizes are bigger, our caskets are bigger. We're creating a whole nother industry out here that's really the end point of life because of what we started doing years ago. Talk more about food and diet in terms of health.
There is no question, and many scientists have shown this now. Dr. Esselstyn has shown it, Dr. T. Colin Campbell has shown it, that if you change and move to a diet that is more vegetable and fruit-based and less to no animal protein-based, and I mean milk, eggs, dairy, and meats of all kinds, you can begin to erase and many times eradicate the problems that we're having. This is what we need to do. If we move, not only the United States, non-communicable diseases are the #1 health threat worldwide, and this is the way that we can fix that.
Now, Dr. Mason, successful urologist for a couple of decades at least that I know of in Chicago, What made you leave the practice of urology and get into this?
I made a covenant with God. I decided that I would go to medical school, not because of something I wanted to do, but I made that commitment to God. And I decided that I was going to use whatever I learned to help our people, all people, but especially our people, because we were among the worst in all of the outcomes that we have. And that's what I've got to hold myself to. There is no choice. This is what I have to do.
Keeping a promise.
Keeping a promise.
Talk a little bit about the role of public health departments and departments from social services. Talk a little bit about the role that they play, or they should be playing, in this whole concept of better health, better lifestyles.
We've got to make sure that they're trained and retrained as well. And we've got to resource them. Public health departments across the country, social services agencies across the country are not funded for the avalanche of work that's coming. And certainly our social services related to mental health, housing, all of these things are the real indices of health. People who are unstably housed won't worry about trying to get the best food. People who don't have the means to get around or to have a job or look at hopelessness or bad education. You've got schools where the graduation rate is 80%, but the college readiness rate is only 5%, at least in the city of Chicago.
So our whole concept about states' rights, or this particular Board of Education having the ability to make decisions as opposed to another one, we have this unequal, disparate type of outcomes. Should we be talking about how these kind of dictates or mandates come from the top, from Washington, to raise all the boats across the country? Because as long as we allow people to have these kinds of choices, especially on the political side, we're going to continuously have these kind of disparities.
I think that we don't really have choices. I think we make decisions from what other people have chosen for us. And until we get to the point where we exercise the power to make the decisions from which we will choose the choices, we won't do what we need to do. We won't be able to do what we need to do.
Very good. Keep that promise.
I will.
Good.
Thank you
Good.
so much.
Live with Dr. Terry Mason on Primary Care. Thank you for joining us, Terry.
You're welcome.
Great.
Forks Over Knives was a film that came out a couple years ago, and is, in my estimation, one of the best introductions to understanding what the real problem and the real causes of most of the diseases in America are. And it offered a very simple solution that was scientifically proven. It follows about 4 people in the movie who went through this process and how they changed their lives, including the group of people that were cardiac cripples, people who had all the bypass surgery they could have, the stents, and none of that stuff was working for them anymore, and one cancer patient. So it shows how you can use food truly as medicine. They interviewed me because I was the only public official. At the time, I was Commissioner of Health for the city of Chicago. And I was the only public official that would admit on camera that a plant-based diet was what we needed in order to begin to correct some of the many diseases that we were faced, like cardiovascular disease, or we call cardiovascular disease, and high blood pressure, diabetes, and 30% of the cancers have a diet-related issue. First of all, there are a lot of other forces in the United States. There are many commercial interests that are very heavily vested in the way that we do things. And those things are not only in the food industries, but they're also in the pharmaceutical industries that make money, lots of money, extracting value or extracting money from the $2.25 trillion that this country spends on so-called healthcare, which is really not healthcare at all. It's really disease management. What Forks Over Knives shows that there's a difference between managing a disease and curing a disease. What we do in medicine, we've been taught how to manage high blood pressure, how to manage diabetes, how to manage heart disease, but not to do anything. None of the medicines, none of the procedures that we do, none of those things will absolutely address the underlying cause of these diseases. And so if we really wanted to do that, obviously those things, those foodstuffs that we eat, which are many of the processed sorts of foods, foods that are not fruits and vegetables, pretty much those that come from animals, would be things that we would have to severely curtail or eliminate in order to get the kind of health that we need.
Hart, what's going on?
I'm leaving.
Why? What did I do?
Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit.
Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just please, don't leave.
Okay. But remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
Marie, you have prediabetes.
Prediabetes? I don't have time to eat right or exercise. I'm a busy mom.
Oh, you're a busy mom.
Yeah.
This is great news. Busy moms never get prediabetes.
Wait, what?
Let me just... Yeah, this is all the people at risk for prediabetes, and way over here, busy moms. No?
Hi, I'm Dr. Lonnie Joe, and we're here in the kitchen with culinary arts instructor and vegan pastry chef Celeste Ivey. Celeste, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Very good. Glad to have you. How did you get into all of this excellent and exciting cooking?
Well, I've always been a foodie. My background is actually in dental hygiene, but when my daughters were younger, I took some time off to do the stay-at-home mom thing, and as I spent time with them, I really wanted to instill in them good eating habits, and that's when I got exposed to all natural, organic, plant-based eating, and it's just taken off from there.
Good, and she's let me into the kitchen today, so we're going to talk about one of your favorite dishes that you're going to prepare for us and walk us through it. Let's go right in.
We're going to make an excellent kale pesto. Okay. Usually when you make pestos, they'll use a leaf like basil, things like that, but kale is also an excellent addition to this dish. And today we're going to give it a little bit of a twist by veganizing it.
Very good. Where do we start?
Okay, let's start over here with our kale. If you can just take a stalk and we'll de-stem it. We want just to use the leaves. So just pull off everything except for the stalk, and we can just throw the stalk into the garbage bowl.
Okay, good.
There we go. And then we have a pot of water boiling here.
Okay.
We did. And then we're going to bring the kale over and add it to the pot just to blanch it, just to tenderize it for a few minutes. Okay? Excellent. All of it just goes right in.
All of it. Okay.
It'll break down. You'll see that. And while we're getting started with the kale, just to let that simmer for a moment, we're going to use walnuts. If you have a nut allergy, it's okay to eliminate them, but I love the depth of flavor and the vitamins that the walnuts add.
A very healthy nut, walnuts, yes.
So we're just going to put it in a dry skillet just to toast it up a little bit, and this brings out the flavor of the nut, and it also causes it to become a little more crispy. Okay, so we'll just check on the kale. Actually, you'd be surprised, it only takes a few seconds. You see how it's changing in color already?
Right.
And then if you could get the strainer ready, we're going to prepare to take it over to the food processor, and I'll show you what to do.
Okay. Honey, if you're watching, don't get any ideas about me spending too much time in the kitchen.
No. You can use whichever pasta noodle that you like. Today we're going to use a casarecce pasta, and it's already ready for us as soon as we get the pesto out. Okay, and I believe that that is just about ready. Yes, let's go ahead and turn that off. And we'll take it over to the sink where we will strain it. Let's see how your nuts are doing. We don't want them to burn, so we keep them moving. There we go. Okay. Let's take this back over here.
Okay.
And if you want to put that down so I don't splash any hot water on you. Yeah. Okay, and you can put it back in the pot. And let's take it over to the food processor. Here we go. Okay, so this is a very simple recipe. Everything just goes right in. You can add the kale to the base.
Just right
there we
in.
go.
All right.
That shouldn't be too hot for us. We got it. Look at you, you're pro already. And then here I have a vegan cheese. There are so many different ones on the market. A lot of people like to use nutritional yeast flakes, but this one is very Parmesan-like to me, so I'll use that. Just about 3 tablespoons or so. Kosher salt.
Kosher
a little
salt.
sprinkle. Give me a sprinkle.
Just what they say, a
Well,
pinch of salt.
Well, a little more than that.
A little
We
more
want
than
to
that.
flavor
Okay,
it,
very
yeah.
good. You want to taste the salt. Okay, how's that?
And fresh ground black pepper. Okay, and if you could shake those nuts for me one more time and bring them right on over. Make sure you turn your fire off. I'll get that for you.
Okay, good. So we have the kale, the gourmet cheese, the nuts,
The gourmet vegan cheese.
gourmet vegan cheese, the walnuts, a pinch of salt. Anything else?
Garlic. We're going
Garlic.
to add about 2 large cloves of garlic. Adds excellent flavor, and it also is great for cholesterol.
Cholesterol,
Yes. Okay, so if we put the lid on, and we will start just spinning it together. This is just about done, but while it's churning, then we're going to add a drizzle of olive oil, just in a slow, steady stream.
Slow drizzle.
There you go. Alrighty, you can stop there. And if you could grab a spatula, we're going to just make sure that all of the ingredients are pushed down and blending together. There we go. A few that got away. Oh my goodness, that smells good already,
Yes, it
doesn't
does.
it?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It looks good.
This is a way to get your healthy greens in. Okay? And we're going to give it another spin. Let's add just a little more oil, just a little bit. Beautiful. You just want it to come together. All right, that should do it. So all in all, it's only about a 1/4 cup of oil in the entire recipe. And as you know, olive oil is an excellent choice.
Virgin olive oil.
Extra virgin olive oil. I also like to use avocado oil sometimes, but today we have our, oh my goodness, do you smell that? We have our olive oil. Okay, so in this pot here, we have the cassarece pasta. You could just add it to the bowl. There we go. Should be able to do that. Beautiful. Okay, that should be enough. There we go. And then I just add the pesto directly to the dish. And this is a little more than we need. This leftover is excellent for sandwiches and
How about that?
bruschetta.
So that's why you're doing that. Why don't you tell us the difference between a vegetarian and a vegan?
Veganism is an extension of a vegetarian diet in that it also utilizes just plant-based, but it's exclusively plant-based. There's no dairy or animal products of any kind involved, including honey. So in this case, instead of dairy cheese, we've used a plant-based cheese that has no animal products in it. Okay, so look how beautiful and green that is. One more ingredient is edamame. Most often I see this dish made with peas, you know, frozen peas. This is just frozen edamame, already shelled. Makes it so easy, and we'll just toss it in. How about a little bit of a taste?
Absolutely.
Okay. So for serving, let's see here, we'll just add it to the platter. Here we go. Wow, look at that. Okay. And
Great.
a fork for
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, the proof is in
Get a
the
little bit of
tasting, huh?
something here too.
Great.
Yes.
Let's see here.
All right, let's give it a taste.
This is very good.
Thank you.
This is very good.
And if you ever wanted to make it a complete meal, just adding a chicken breast.
A little salmon, maybe. We're going to toss to a break. We'll be right back with more primary care in the kitchen.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
There are over 34,000 Daves in Southeast Michigan. Big Daves, medium Daves, baby Daves. At Henry Ford Health System, we're inspired by every Dave out there, and every Shannon, Charisse, Miguel, and Ahmed. Because no matter your name, we believe care should be built around you, not someone like you or near you, but care designed for just one person, you. Henry Ford Health System, all for you.
Welcome back. We're in the kitchen again with culinary arts instructor Celeste Ivey, and Celeste is going to cook up a batch of her famous gourmet vegan chocolate chip cookies.
Absolutely.
Good. Tell us why your pastries are so famous and so sought after now.
My approach is to enjoy what we love about conventional pastry, but to eliminate all of the, what I call the naughties. So there's no refined sugar, there's whole grain flour, no eggs with all the cholesterol, no butter or milk that are usually heavy in fat and hormones and such. So this is, but I still wanted it to be beautiful in the texture and, you know, the kind of thing that when you take a bite, you have to close your eyes and say, That's what I wanted to capture, but it be an actual wholesome pastry. So I'm going to
take the guilt out,
and the naughty. So it's actually much healthier. Great. So this is the very first vegan cookie I learned to make.
Great.
Okay.
Let's jump right
Come on over. And this is so simple. You're going to do everything. Okay. So the first thing you're going to add is this is going to be just a small batch because it's just you and I today. Okay. So about a half a cup of whole oats. Okay.
Half a cup.
Not the quick oats, no instant oats. Okay. This is whole grain pastry flour, another half cup, and it just dumps in. Okay. This is sweetened only with pure maple syrup. You can use your spoon if you need it to get it out.
Mix it together, huh?
There you go. And you have in your pot there melted and cooled vegan butter.
Vegan butter.
You do.
Okay.
The whole thing is fine.
Okay, good. Very good.
All right, and if you just stir that together, you are halfway done, believe it or not.
Oh my goodness.
Are you being so cute with it? Give it a stir now. Pull it up. There we go. Put it all together. You can't hurt it.
Yeah. Can't hurt it. Very good.
And it just all comes together. And once you get everything incorporated, you can at that point add whatever you like. Okay. A dash of cinnamon, walnuts or almonds or pecans, dried fruit, such as raisins or cranberries. Today we're going to be a little naughty and we're going to add a non-dairy chocolate chip. Are you ready?
Chocolate.
Here we go. And we won't need all of them, that's fine. And that is it, other than we're going to add about a tablespoon of pure vanilla. Okay? And I'll do that for you. Okay. No imitation here, the real thing. Pure there we vanilla. Go. And we just stir that all together, and your cookie is ready to go in a 350-degree oven for about 15 minutes or so.
Okay, so that's why I'm
going to give you a little bit of help here, because
okay.
we want to actually turn it. I don't know what that back of the spoon thing is that you're doing there, but there we go. Okay, and it's all together. And you can just drop rounded teaspoonfuls onto your, or
is that enough?
Yep. I was going to say it's a little more than a teaspoon, about a tablespoon. There we go.
Good.
As many as you like. I think I want my cookie to be a little bigger.
A little bit larger. Okay, good.
Yeah,
so Celeste, tell us about your company, Patisserie C.
Patisserie C specializes in exceptional vegan pastries. So again, we like to take what we enjoy about conventional and still have it look beautiful, to still have the textures that we enjoy, but we have eliminated all of the ingredients that are naughty. Uh-oh, just a little bit there got away from us, but it's okay. And these don't really spread much. They kind of cook just as you have them placed.
So you don't have to worry about the old-fashioned space that's needed in
Not
between necessarily.
It's kind of like a granola cookie.
Okay.
And it's so simple that I usually allow my kids to have it for breakfast when they like.
So this is a breakfast dish also?
Sure, because it's just oats and pure maple syrup, right? Okay, so then we'll put that in the oven for about 15 minutes or so.
Very good.
Here we go.
So Celeste, people tell me that your vegan pastries tastes just as good as anything else they've ever tasted before.
Absolutely, time and time again. Unless I've actually told them ahead of time, people will have no idea, because I think that we've mastered that opportunity to take what is delicious, yet not always good for us, but to make it wholesome, and it still stays true to what we love about it: delicious, beautiful textures.
And healthy.
And healthy.
Good.
So as you say that, I think I smell those cookies. Let's get them out of the oven.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. You did a lovely job. These smell wonderful.
That smells good. Yes, how about that?
Okay.
How about that?
The Patisserie C signature cookie. Here we go. Let's just put a few on the plate. Okay. And bon appetit.
Bon
I'll
appetit.
try one too.
Let's see. Delicious. Absolutely delicious. Wonderful. And these are available where?
You can actually order them directly from Patisserie C.
How about that? Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Primary Care. Celeste Ivey, the culinary arts instructor par excellence. And thank you for joining us on Primary Care. I'm Dr. Lonnie Joe, Eating Healthy.